I think we've all asked ourselves the same question at least once. Why did it have to happen to me? Why did I have to get that low test score? Why did I have to get cut from that team? Why did it have to be me? As some of you may know, on August 17th, 2018, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, an incurable illness in which your pancreas doesn't produce sufficient amounts of insulin for your body. As an 11-year-old hearing this information for the first time, I didn't know what any of it really meant, but I only thought of one thing. Out of all the people in the world, why did it have to be me? The moment the doctor said the words diabetes, my eyes widened. I didn't fully understand that it would be forever, but I knew that it would change everything. From that day on, I carried not only the weight of my diagnosis, but the burden of trying to live up to these expectations I wasn't even sure I could meet. In middle school, I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't want to be different. I didn't want people asking me questions I didn't even have answers to. This whole thing was something brand new to me, too. I didn't want people to talk about me, so I hid it. I couldn't tell if it worked, but I tried. I kept all my needles, syringes, and pens in the nurse's office so no one would see them. I'd either have some gross, low-carb snack or nothing for snack time. I thought if I could pretend I didn't have diabetes, life would be easier. But the truth was, it would never leave me. The hardest part of it all was the loneliness. I knew no other people my age who had diabetes. It felt like carrying a secret that no one would ever understand. Even when my parents tried to help, which don't get me wrong, they helped a lot, their words sometimes felt more like criticism than support. You need to get over yourself, or you need to be on top of things. I knew they meant well. My mother is a doctor after all, and she knows what can happen. But it just made me feel like I was failing, like I wasn't good enough at managing this thing I never even asked for. Every time I messed up, the same question came to mind. Why did it have to be me? Slowly but surely, things began to shift when I came to Hill. I was terrified of entering a new environment where most people didn't know me. I thought I'd have to hide my diabetes all over again. But something changed. In the spring of my third form year, I was eventually on the junior varsity girls lacrosse team. One of my fellow teammates and co-president at the time, Sarah Zhang, and I were both sitting on the bench as the others were running drills. I asked her if she was okay, and she turned to me and said her blood sugar was high, something I thought I would never hear another person say to me. I told her mine was low, and we both looked at each other, puzzled. It felt like the universe had paused in that moment. Hearing someone else express the struggle so casually was almost bizarre to me. We had the same experience and both endured the hardships. That one conversation on the bench truly became a turning point for me. It taught me that I wasn't alone in this journey, and that sharing my experiences didn't mean I would be judged. But even with that connection, the road ahead was not easy. There were still days where I felt overwhelmed, days when nothing seemed to go right. My blood sugar would be every night on the right one, and trying to fix it was the hardest part. I'd either take too much insulin and drop low, or drink too much juice and spike out. It was like a roller coaster that would never end. But this roller coaster of highs and lows taught me a lot, not just about diabetes, but about myself. I learned that perfection isn't possible for anything, and that's okay. What mattered was not giving up, even on the hardest days. Over time, I began to see my struggles as opportunities for growth rather than failure. By the time I reached fourth form year, I started to realize that I didn't have to do it all on my own. I began to open up more, not just to my friends, but to myself too. I stopped hiding my supplies, started advocating for what I needed. I let myself get the support of others, whether that meant explaining my condition to a fellow teammate or accepting a friend's offer to grab me a juice box when my blood sugar was low. At first, I felt vulnerable, almost like admitting defeat. But over time, I saw that sharing my journey wasn't a weakness, it was a strength. People didn't see me as different. They saw me as a normal human being living a normal life. And the more I opened up, the more I realized that diabetes wasn't something I had to be ashamed of. It was just a part of my story. When I look back at my younger self, that 11-year-old sitting in the doctor's office, I wish I could tell her that this diagnosis would not define her, that she was stronger than she knew, that while it would be hard, she would find her way, and most importantly, that she was never truly alone. This journey hasn't been easy, but it's made me who I am. I am proud of the person I have become, not despite my diabetes, but because of it. Diabetes has challenged me, but it's also shaped me into someone who's more compassionate, determined, and enthusiastic than I ever thought possible. It's taught me to face life's problems with resilience and find strength even when I feel like I'm at my weakest. Through this journey, I've learned that misfortune is not something to hide from. It's something to grow from. My diabetes doesn't define me, but it's helped me discover a part of myself that I may have not seen otherwise. Each of us has something we carry, a challenge that tests us. But instead of seeing it as a burden, I've come to see it as proof of my strength. Today, I still ask myself the same question. Out of all the people in the world, why did it have to happen to me? I don't know the answer, and I never will, but I know one thing. I know that I will keep moving forward. I came to this podium today scared to share something about me that not many of you know, but I knew that it was time. So, as all of you now know, I am a type 1 diabetic, but that's not all I am. I am an athlete, a student, and a friend. But most importantly, I can now say for certain that I was never alone. Thank you.